Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 5 of the Everyday Podcast, aka EDP, your gateway to the casual side of business. I'm your host, Matt Esposito, and I'm going to let our wonderful co-host introduce himself.
I'm your co-host, Andrew Sadikov, and I'm going to introduce some of the other members that we have with us today. To my right is Billy. Billy, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name's Billy. I'm the Director of New Business with Everyday Expo.
Yeah, so Billy wears multiple hats here at EDD. For tonight's purpose, he's going to be a digital marketing specialist because we're going to be talking about, all the different tools and softwares that are best for your business. And we also have another team member joining us tonight all the way from Western Florida, and this is Mr. Ted Esposito. Ted, say hello.
Hey guys, Ted here. I'm the web developer and digital marketing specialist at EDE. Like Matt said, I am located in sunny Tampa, Florida, and I have no relation to Matt, even though we share the same last name.
Even though, well, we had, I don't have a beer anymore, but the only similarity we have is two awesome beers, even though I don't have mine anymore, but he still has his. We'll put up a picture on the screen so everyone can get a little visualization of Ted, since he's not able to be with us here in person or on video. So anyways, as stated before, today's episode is going to be all about talking about different tools and softwares, that you could utilize in your business. We're going to go everything over, social media, email marketing, graphic design softwares, basically everything from A to Z. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, make sure to check out last week's episode 4, which me and Andrew discussed all about launching and managing a startup. So we gave some great advice to people that are looking to start a business, and even people that have a current business. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already. And just some general podcast updates. We added a couple different features to our website. You can now download both the video and the audio versions of each episode on the website. And we're now accepting guest applications, so you can go on the contact us on the EDP site, which is it's everydaypodcast.biz. That's B-I-Z at the end. And you can submit an application to be a guest on the show. All right, so moving on, let's talk about the topics breakdown for this episode. Now, we're not going to talk about website functionality today, the different plugins that are out there. We're going to talk about all that in a separate episode. That's a whole different ballgame. And even the stuff today, we're not going to limit to just one episode. There's a lot to dive into, a lot of important information, but we're going to kind of cover the basics today and then, dive into it at a later date. So going over the topics breakdown, we have what social platforms are right for your business. We're going to go over some accounting softwares, that cover like internal accounting, asset management, client invoicing. Then we'll go over team/project management softwares, what CRMs are best for your business, music and editing softwares, marketing, product delivery, and then we bunched a couple into a miscellaneous category. All right, so diving right in, let's talk about what social platforms are right for your business. And Ted will be starting out with talking about Facebook.
I'm actually going to pass this one off to Billy.
Billy.
I think we did a swap before the episode.
We did.
I'm going to be talking about Twitter. So, Billy, why don't you go ahead with Facebook?
No problem. Will do, Ted. Thank you very much. So Facebook covers more of an older demographic. Picture and video work best. It's great for e-commerce sites, restaurants, where you can kind of bring people that experience of kind of being there. There's a lot of different functionalities that you have with it, like the live videos. It's definitely a must-have for all industries. And what you want to, really think about when you're making any kind of post on social media, but especially Facebook, is what do you want people's takeaway to be? What's going to be their call to action? Do you want them to pick up the phone and call you? Do you want them to go to your website and make a purchase or a transaction decision? Or do you want to start a conversation with them in the Messenger app? It's a great way to kind of build an audience that is engaging you and celebrating you and helping promote your brand. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but it's, one of the first ways that you get into that, the sales flywheel.
And for businesses that don't necessarily have a social media presence currently, that's one of the first that we recommend. Instagram is also very important, but Facebook specifically, that's what we would recommend to have a consistent presence on right off the bat. And by the way, if we look like we're sweating, it is extremely hot in the podcast studio. We'll go over a story of what happened in our office building a little bit later.
Not as hot as it was a week ago here.
Yeah, but still,
but it's pretty hot.
Just I'm sure people are noticing that everyone seems to be sweating in the studio. Anyone have anything to add about Facebook before we move on? No? All right, so I guess Mr. Ted is going to be covering all about Twitter.
Yeah, so Twitter is now over a decade old. It's one of the older social media platforms, and the demographic is it ranges. It's not just, stay-at-home moms, and it's not Gen Xers, but it ranges from everyone from, 10-year-old Twitch streamers to CEOs and business executives. So there's a wide range of demographic for you to reach for your business. The other good thing about Twitter is that it's short, sweet, direct, and to the point. You can upload text, you can upload videos, you can upload photos, and it really has the power to go viral more easier than the other social media platforms. A lot of the videos you see nowadays that are viral usually originate on Twitter. A lot of journalists use Twitter to get their news pieces out. Politicians are all over Twitter, as well as celebrities. So you can really reach a wide audience. And because of that, it makes a great tool for public relations. What's the first thing you do when you're upset with a company? You go to Twitter and you rant about it. So it gives businesses a good opportunity to do some management, some PR management, to reach their consumers and customers directly, respond to inquiries, and just maintain a good brand general overlook on Twitter. So the other social media platform that goes hand in hand with Twitter, although it's made by Facebook, is Instagram. But Twitter and Instagram are similar in that you can post photos of your product, brand, or service, and really have a wide demographic of people sharing those photos, liking those photos. And it opens the opportunity to work directly with influencers and brand ambassadors. A lot of young people are on Twitter. A lot of millennials are still on Twitter. And now the older demographic as well is getting on Twitter and Instagram as well. So it gives your brand the opportunity to meet influencers, open direct business relations with them, and have them sell your products for you.
And as Ted just mentioned, Facebook does own Instagram, so a lot of things are, I guess, cross-wired is a good word for it. You can link your Instagram to your Facebook page, your ads account. Something you post on Instagram can be directly uploaded to Facebook right away. So there's a lot of good functionality to explore there.
Yeah, and the other thing is you can kind of manage all your ads from one platform
Exactly.
to the Facebook ads group. But that's great.
All right, so moving on to YouTube.
So YouTube, as everybody knows, is a video-based platform. This is great for all audiences. It's really, really good for giving your consumers and clients a deeper dive into the services that you offer and being able to provide value and answer people's questions before you can even get them in the door. So for people who do consulting or service-based businesses, it's almost like a way of getting that initial, hey, approach meeting, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, out of the way before you actually get them in the door. So that way you can start off your first meeting with them with a little bit more groundwork covered, and you can make decisions a little bit more quickly because they kind of feel like they trust you and they know you already. And that's really the ultimate point of all social media, is to let your clients get the behind the scenes look, or a more intimate look at your business, or you as a consultant. It's definitely a must-have for people on the YouTube platform to have a professionally done thumbnail for your YouTube video, because that's when anybody's sharing it on social media, or even when you're scrolling down through the list of videos to watch, you're going to be clicking on the ones that have the most enticing, engaging, thumbnails that you typically have a call to action or something like that in them. So that's really kind of like the groundwork for a lot of these other advertising things that you might do, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Google Ads or whatnot. You're going to be using YouTube to kind of start that, because if you have a video ad, you're going to be putting that around the web. Anybody who's watched any kind of videos on YouTube knows those little 5-second ads.
Yep.
Maybe they watch 5 seconds and they click, are the ones that make you wait the whole 15 seconds before you can skip it. That's why it's really important to make sure that you get what your message is in the first 5 seconds or less, because oftentimes that's all you have to capture a customer's attention and get your message across.
And people's attention spans are pretty non-existent nowadays.
Shorter and shorter.
So it's always a challenge, but of course that's our job, and that's why we love what we do, but that's always our job to make sure we grab their attention. And YouTube, EDE knows the importance of YouTube. For the audience, if you don't know already, EDE started as a YouTube channel, actually doing car reviews, and look what we've grown into today. So YouTube is a great platform to utilize because that's how we started in the first place. Moving on to LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn is, obviously everybody knows is for professional audiences, very highly underutilized platform. Most people we talk to are not on LinkedIn, or they think of LinkedIn as just kind of like a Facebook for corporate types. It's really not. Corporate types make decisions as well. Anybody who's, trying to further their career is going to also be spending money and making decisions, whether it's, where to eat, what to listen to, or, what clothes to buy, right? So being able to have a business page and access your customers, whether they're at work taking a break and making it look like they're not taking a break, or, some people actually do a lot of work through LinkedIn, so you can catch people while they're working and get their attention and give them a little distraction. But definitely it's kind of like one of the last frontiers when it comes to these social media sites, when it comes to the social networking aspect of it, that is still kind of underutilized by a lot of companies, and not many people advertise so much on it. So if you're looking to kind of break into the game and be a big fish in a small pond, LinkedIn's a good way to go.
And even my understanding of LinkedIn was minimal before diving into the marketing world. I thought it was just a place to find a job,
Right.
or to view articles on business and anything in general in the business world.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. The articles on business give you a great opportunity if you wanted to, jumpstart your blog to do some testers as far as the notes or the articles go on that, and become a thought leader through the LinkedIn platform as well. So just giving a different avenue to get your content out there. And they do a lot of different things. You can even do, I've seen white papers people have done, and they upload them as documents on LinkedIn, and
Right.
you have other people in their field engaging and brainstorming with them. So it's kind of an interesting thing to see that you don't really notice on these other sites, because it has that more professional environment there. So, if you're looking for decision makers, LinkedIn is a good place to go.
And LinkedIn has a great ads platform, not just for advertising your business, but for trying to find talent, to join our team. A couple of our team members we've actually found through LinkedIn. I think, Ted, I don't know if did you connect with me through LinkedIn, or was that another social media platform?
I think that was on LinkedIn, and then you didn't respond, so I went to Instagram.
Okay. Yeah. See, so Ted actually found me through LinkedIn. Funny enough, and
Billy actually found us through Instagram.
Yeah, this is true.
That's right. I was
See, so
remember
most
that,
of
yeah.
our staff members we found through social media platforms. Our interactions started through there. And a side note for LinkedIn, we usually do a lot of cross-posting between social platforms, for instance, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So any, photo or video content we're putting on, our clients' pages for Facebook or Instagram will go on LinkedIn, and vice versa too.
And real quick with that, just because you're putting one piece of content on 3 or 4 different platforms doesn't mean you're posting it at the same time, right? Because different people are on at different times. Different demographics have different times of the day that they're more active than others. So when you're posting your content, it's really important to pay attention to not only what day it is, but also the time of day that your content is going up.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to Snapchat.
So Snapchat's, obviously photo video based. It's got a younger audience. You don't really see too many older people there. It's great for kind of like the gossip, more like pop culture news and stuff like that. Definitely a must-have for anybody who has a brick and mortar spot is to get that geolocation, get your geotag going, so you can get your brand out there and raise awareness for it. Some people, I've seen some restaurants where they they give you a free deal or a free something if you come in with a picture or use their filter or like them on Facebook or whatever else other kind of engagement. As long as you can get people engaging with you and absorbing and interacting with your content, you're winning. So the ultimate goal is to build a loyal base of customers, and the best way to do that is to get them to feel something when they see your logo or think about your product or your brand.
And I don't know what you guys think. I know, Billy, obviously the majority of Snapchat users are a younger audience, but I am starting to see some of the older crowd get involved. And for like a great example is a lot of my friends' moms add me on Snap.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I don't add them back, but I've seen a lot of the older crowd, including my own parents. I think both my parents have Snapchat. Not that they utilize it like we do, or even understand it.
Or utilize it at all, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like the older crowd's starting to get involved a little bit. That's just something I've seen over the past couple months.
They're slowly starting to pick up things more and more. I think you'll definitely see. I mean, we'll get to TikTok in a little bit, but TikTok is one of those things where it's highly youthful. But you see that there's some older people on it, or they're on it just because their kids are on it and pulling them into videos, and then they're coming in and doing things too. So definitely for I mean, some parents are doing it as a way to keep tabs on their kids. Some parents are doing it as a way to interact with their kids. But for whatever reason it is, even if it's just to have fun. But you're going to see that across all social media platforms, because also remember the demographic is aging as well.
Absolutely.
So they're getting older, they're getting more connections. Oh, add me on Snapchat. Oh, what's that? Oh, you don't know what Snapchat is. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and Snapchat has a great ads platform that's available to businesses. They've been working on that for a couple of years, and they've definitely transformed and optimized that into something businesses should look into. Moving on to Pinterest.
Yeah, so Pinterest, this is a big women's demographic. Actually, about 60% of the audience on Pinterest is female, and the other interesting thing is that 50% of Pinterest's demographic comes from outside of the United States. So if you're looking for international product or to create kind of like that conversation with the world, Pinterest is a great way to go about it. I mean, they're really phenomenal with educational or how-to recipes or getting your blog out there. This is another kind of thing where you have to really pay attention to your graphic that you're using, because the first thing that you see on Pinterest is a picture that's telling you what the article or whatever link is about, and then you click onto that and then you can open up the link. So being able to have a really eye-catching, something that makes people want to find more and learn more and explore, right? That's the ultimate goal of everything that you do online, is to create engaging content. But Pinterest kind of couples the importance of having a really, really well-written blog post and landing page for when you actually bring people to your site with getting that nice graphic, that's going to be really engaging. That then you can use the same graphic when you post your hyperlink on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever else. So it's a great platform for kind of, focus testing some of those ideas, or doing some A/B testing when it comes to your graphics and being able to say, okay, well, same article, same everything, but this graphic got a lot more than this one, so we'll go with that one when we post it on our other platforms. That's what I got to say about Pinterest. You can get definitely lost in that thing. It's a lot of fun. So.
All right, moving on to TikTok.
So TikTok is the new kid on the block, and some people hate him. Some people hate TikTok. Some people love TikTok. Right now there's a whole time limit thing on it right now. Before September 15th, it's going to be make it or break it for TikTok. But one way or another, I think TikTok is here to stay in some way, shape, or form. Before TikTok, we had Vine, and Vine went down, and everybody was so upset. And then you had TikTok come up not too many years later. And so, I think that people are going to really start gravitating towards TikTok to not only just do it for advertising, but also make really funny TikTok videos that then turn into almost like an advertisement for yourself, because if you can get something to go somewhat viral, you're doing well.
Right.
With TikTok, it's so new. This is like getting into YouTube when it first came out.
Right.
It's like, you have the opportunity to be, first of someone. You can grow your growth rate can be unbelievably fast. There are people who've gotten 1 million followers in like a few weeks or a month or two, and these are nobodies, right? They were just, people who were just doing it for fun, and they threw up some stuff and people loved it, and they told their friends, and it took off. But because there's a smaller amount of people creating that content, there's less competition. Right now you go onto YouTube, you try to start a YouTube channel, you're going to be fighting against the tide. But with TikTok, it's kind of rolling with you, because everybody's kind of coming on and experiencing it as the first time, and it's new to everybody, so there's less judgment.
And I want to say quickly about TikTok too. People don't search for videos on TikTok. Your videos are shown, and based on the engagement they receive, your videos are continuing to be shown. So I can have an amazing quality YouTube video, or I can have a fantastic song on Spotify that gets absolutely no views because it just doesn't pop up for people. You don't have to tag your videos. You don't have to do anything on TikTok. Its algorithms are based on engagement. So if you have fantastic content, you're going to immediately see a result right away without having to wait.
And I don't know about you guys, I personally like TikTok better than Vine. I mean, just from a personal and business standpoint, I just think TikTok is overall better.
Yeah.
Ted, you have anything to add about any of the social media platforms?
No, I think TikTok is really cool. It's the new up and coming trending thing. But I think recently maybe unrelated, that Microsoft was talking about purchasing TikTok.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
I think there's a lot of potential for TikTok to really grow and develop as an application in itself and really start to do new things that we can only imagine.
And one of the discussions I always hear about TikTok is, oh, you can't make money off it. Well, if there's a business and they start to gain some engagement and following on TikTok, that can always be transferred to other social platforms. Which one? It's not true that you can't make money off TikTok. There's always different avenues to do that, but you can always transfer your audience, because once you have your audience, they're pretty much here to stay as long as you're keeping a consistent digital presence on whatever platform that is. But with TikTok specifically, you can move your platform to YouTube, which is what we see with a lot of influencers, especially when they announced they tried to announce that TikTok was being banned. Everyone kind of went crazy. Follow my Instagram, follow my YouTube. That's what all the influencers were saying, because some people started on TikTok, so they don't have a following elsewhere, and now they're trying to transfer that. But just keep that in mind when it comes to TikTok. All right, so moving out of the social media realm and onto accounting softwares. So we use QuickBooks as a company, and I think it has a very simple dashboard. I love the functionality it has to offer. It's also cheap. I don't think there's any free versions of it, but there's a lot of different stuff that you can do with it, and it's helped me create some great processes for how I go about, internal accounting. Everything from asset management, client invoicing. Your accountant can have access to your QuickBooks. You can pay sales tax through it. Basically everything from A to Z. You can, send out 1099s from there. It gets more expensive the more functionality you add. But QuickBooks, I've just absolutely adored, and it's taught me so much about accounting that I didn't know before. And it definitely keeps this company in check. Something I deal with on a daily basis. I don't know. I know you've dealt with QuickBooks before from an accounting standpoint. If you have anything to add about that.
Yeah, man, the only thing I would say is it's not a replacement for a bookkeeper.
Absolutely.
So, definitely don't think it's like a wind-up toy that you can let run and forget about it, because, there are intricacies with everything, and there's bugs in all software. So you want to make sure that you or somebody in your organization's keeping an eye on it and just kind of making sure that what it's saying is coming in, and what it's saying is going out. Because I have seen sometimes where it gets a little confused based off of it's
Right.
like, oh well, all these transactions from this company are deductions, and so then if you get something back from that company,
Right.
then
Yeah.
it marks it as
Yeah.
a deduction. You think you have less money than you do. So it's just like one of those things where, that's true of everything though, right?
Oh, of course.
Just because you have a Facebook doesn't mean that you're done. Back when websites first came out, everybody was like, oh, you need to get a website, and then okay, well, once you have a website, how do you make people go to your website? And
Right.
that's what we're talking about today with the marketing, right? So it's like it's not enough. It's not like Field of Dreams, right? If you build it, they will come. Or if you have it, you're good, right? You not only have to have it, but you have to maintain it,
Right.
and keep an eye on it too.
Yeah,
So.
and I could definitely see that. I've ran into a couple issues with QuickBooks, but I guess to state we have very simple accounting for the business. You know what I'm saying? So I guess
Oh, no,
for
it's
most
great,
smaller
yeah.
businesses,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
great. But I have seen a couple. I have had a couple issues with it. Moving on to Square. So Square. I utilize that just for client invoicing sometimes because some of my clients prefer it. I'm not really sure why, but it complements QuickBooks. I don't do any of the accounting on there, but I know they have a pretty good system set up, and it has just as much functionality available for users than QuickBooks. You have anything to add about Square?
Square's great.
And the processing, too.
Yeah, I'd say it's best for the businesses if you're not doing a lot of processing or it's inconsistent. Definitely it's great because there's no monthly maintenance fees. But if you do start to generate a certain amount every month, I would look into talking to a credit card processor because they, you might pay a monthly fee, but you'll get a lot better of a rate on the percent that you're paying. Whenever somebody gets charged. Definitely very user friendly, right? It's really well known. A lot of people use it for their email marketing as well because it's got a lot of nice functionality with that. It's a trade off with everything, right? You get something for free. It's never really free, right?
No, of course.
So.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's a great program.
And I use both Square and QuickBooks, so you don't have to. Sometimes you don't have to choose one or the other, and that's the same. That goes for all the platforms, tools and softwares we're talking about today. It's not one or the other. Usually, it's all of them, or both, or multiple. All right, so moving on to internal management. So Monday.com, if you've never heard of that, definitely look it up. It was formerly called Dupulse, and we utilize that for our team management. Andrew, I'm going to let you dive into that a little bit, but we utilize that on the daily. It's updated to a T, and it allows for the next level of organization for us. We were able to eliminate so much internal team communication and just back and forth with this software platform. But I'll let you kind of dive into how we utilize it.
Yeah. So originally when I was introduced to Monday.com, I saw the prices for it, and I was like, absolutely not. We're not going to get a, Google Sheet that we have to pay hundreds of dollars a month for just because it looks pretty. But now that we have it, and, Matt had convinced us originally that we needed it, and, we went with it, it's actually incredibly useful. It has a lot more functionality than you originally expect. And it's all labeled there. It's all written out there, right? And you're reading about it, and you're like, well, notifications. Okay, well, whatever. I know what a notification is. I can check it all the time. Don't really care. Being able to assign people to projects and stuff like that. Okay, well, I could just write that for the person. Don't really care. And you go down the list, and you're like, I don't really care about these things. These are all pretty straightforward. But when they come together, they become a very powerful force. So it really eliminates so many different, like you said, back and forth.
Saves us time.
And so much other stuff that you have to do. Genuinely invaluable software. I can't really think of anything else that would take its place. I use it every single day. Every single day I go on Monday.com. I have a list of my tasks. I can see anybody else in the company's tasks. I can see, how far along they're doing it. They're getting. I can see who's assigned to different shoots. We have, different boards. Some are a calendar where I can see everything that's going on that entire month, everyone who's assigned to every individual shoot, the equipment they're going to use, how they're going to film it, what they're going to film, everything like that. And then, subsequently, who's going to edit everything, how everything is going to get laid out. And it's so much easier than having, to go back and forth, because every little piece of information that Monday.com gives you voluntarily by you going onto it and seeing it is information that otherwise you'd have to reach out to somebody and them respond to you to get that information back. So it really just saves, hours a day, tens, hundreds of hours a week. So it's a fantastic piece of software that we definitely use.
We utilize Google Drive for a lot of internal, project management and just general, bookkeeping too. But we've moved the majority of our Google Drive, organizational methods to Monday.com because it allows for that. Monday.com is very customizable. And as Andrew said, we have everything from to-do list, company calendar. I do some, I keep our accounting information there, all of our client information, access to client folders, client passwords. It's all in one place. So, before Monday.com, for instance, Billy would always be like, what's the password for this? What's the password for this? And I'd be like, I got to go here. Now, he doesn't even need to ask me. It's right on there, and it's just, I think, an amazing platform. If you want to speak from a team member, what you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. It was just the biggest difference for me was just the removal of those in between steps, and it kind of gets you from point A to point B a lot quicker because you don't have to go through as many people. There's not as many steps to the process, and you can ask a question and what do we do when we ask questions? And in normal everyday life, we Google it, we go online, we find the answer, right? So that with this, it gives us the same option, but with work, you don't have to go and ask somebody. You can just go on Monday and find the answer,
right?
Which is really nice.
And a good example of that is another good example is me and Billy used to have to text every day, all day. Now, even if we don't talk for a day or two, it's not like we're actually not communicating. He just sees everything through Monday.com. Ted, if you have any additional thoughts on Monday.com.
Yeah, I love Monday.com. When I joined EDE, this is the first time I had used it. I had used another platform called Asana, which is very similar to Monday.com. They're both project management tools that just streamline everything and make collaboration so easy, especially, me being 1,000 miles south of you guys here in Florida. I'm so easily able to work with you guys on a very streamlined basis using Monday.com. So I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's great.
And it allows for things to be done on the go too. There's many times me or Andrew or Billy, Ted, anyone really has uploaded documents, notes, phone numbers for meetings or Zoom links via our phone because it has a phone app and it's just as functional as the laptop version, the PC version of it is. So it's been a lifesaver, I think, too, and as Andrew stated before, it is a little, actually, it's pretty expensive, especially as we keep growing. It'll get more expensive, but I think for businesses, that's definitely something out there to look into because it can replace other softwares that you're paying for, too. All right, moving on to Trello.
Yeah, so Trello is another kind of like project management, type of app. It's very similar to Monday in a lot of ways, but Monday does a lot more, either just as well, if not better, than Trello. What I would say is that Trello is a great start. If you're a small team, if you're less than 5 people or fewer than 5 people, try out Trello, because Trello is, I think, only $9.95 per person when you start, and then Monday starts off at like $49.95 or something like that for up to 5 users, and then after that you add on to it. So if you have like 1 or 2 people, Trello, you there's no reason to spend the extra $30 if you're not really needing to get that value out of it. Grow when you need to. Don't get ready for a big growth and then put this pressure on yourself to then fill it up, right? Grow as you are. It's better to be slow and gradual than quick and flame out. And also make sure not to put too much pressure on yourselves. But as far as Trello, it's great. It's not it doesn't hold a candle to Monday when it comes to if you have a 10-20 person team. I would do it Monday every single time because it just has so many more things that you can do with it. But Trello's fine for beginners, for just starting out.
And this conversation for advice in regards to internal management tools and softwares isn't just for people that have one. It's for people that don't. More importantly, right? So look into these if you don't. Just because you have one and you may be satisfied with it, also check out the ones we're recommending, because we use it on a daily basis, so we can speak for the success and failure side of what it's able to accomplish. So moving on to WhatsApp. So we have all of our company group chats for both EDS and EDP on WhatsApp, and it's a great tool to just communicate. We communicate a lot less now because we have softwares like Mondaycom, but we'll still send out reminders about payroll, important announcements, events going on. Just stuff like that. And with WhatsApp, it allows us to see if people read the message. So just because I send something to like Ted or Andrew, I can see they read it. Like, even if they don't respond, like if they're busy, at least I see that they read it and they got the message. I don't know, Ted, you can speak for WhatsApp a lot too, because I know you love that platform.
Yeah, I've used it a lot. In my personal life, there's users all over the world. It's one of the most common, I think it is the most popular messaging app in the world, with something like, I think it's 2 billion users or something crazy. So I've been using it for years, especially with travel. And then when I joined EDE and I saw that you guys had the group chat, it made everything a lot easier. You don't have to be dealing with individual SMS on your phone and using up your data plans. So I love WhatsApp, and it's great for meme sharing too. Let's not forget that.
Oh boy. All right. Anything to add about WhatsApp or anything? Internal management? All right.
WhatsApp is great. The only thing I want to see is them reprise that Budweiser commercial.
Oh boy. All right. So moving on to discussing different CRMs. Billy, what is a CRM?
It's a click rate management program, so that basically you are able to track how people are interacting with your content and how people are engaging, and what actions they're taking and what paths they're following, and that way you can say, okay, well, this is where people are going. Are they going where I want them to? How can I get them to flow the direction that I want them to flow?
Absolutely, and we refer to it internally as like a click rate management, but the official term for it is customer relationship management system.
My bad. That's
well, no, I mean, we refer to it internally as a click rate, but like, what I'm saying? Yeah. But anyways, Ted, do you have anything to add about what a CRM is, the importance of a CRM, before we dive into specific platforms?
I think a CRM is pretty vital for any company with more than one customer, which I hope is every company and business. It's a great way to organize your customers and really get down to the nitty-gritty on who they are. You can create certain fields and functions for your customers. You could list their favorite color if you wanted to. But usually, it's about their contact information, their email, their address, and ways to get in touch with them, and just organize it in an easily searchable and indexable database.
All right, so grazing over the different CRMs that are available to you as a business owner today, we're going to start with Salesforce.
So Salesforce is probably the best known. Definitely, it's a big player in the industry. There is a free trial available, which is nice. It's great for managing your client flow from the point that you first capture their name to when you activate them as a client. and tracking them through that whole process and moving them along and adding notes and different things and calculating appointments, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a really, really powerful, very, very powerful engine. So it's great for, computer software, IT&S, marketing companies. Those are the top 3 industries that you find using Salesforce.
Andrew, I just noticed you have scruff. I mean, are you trying to get up with Ted on Ted's level when it comes to a beard, or what's going on?
Yeah, I've been growing it out. I struggle a little bit more with that than some of the rest of you, but I think it's like a phase that everybody that goes through our company kind of has to have at least at some point in their life. So maybe I'm next.
Oh boy, hey, it's pretty true. Dom has a beard. Cortez trying to grow a beard.
Have you seen? I wish you got to see Jack today.
Jack has a beard?
Doesn't have a beard, but he's got a mustache now.
Oh my gosh, can you believe that,
Yes,
Ted?
yes.
I mean, I could probably shave my beard and chop it up and give each of you an inch and still have some left over.
We're catching up to you, Ted. We're catching up to you. Me, I don't know. I think I'm going to take a break from that for a little while, but I guess the other employees are trying to compete with you. All right. Moving on to HubSpot. Ted, I'll let you.
HubSpot, I think, is a really, really useful platform. It does so much, and unlike Salesforce, it's a little bit more affordable. Salesforce is used by giant corporations that have big budgets to manage incredibly large customer databases. HubSpot, on the other hand, is great for businesses of any size, from the mom and pop shop that are just getting started to even the bigger corporations that do have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of customers. It touts itself as the only free CRM, and that's kind of half true. It does start out free. In fact, they give you up to 1 million data entry fields for customers, which is, more than most people could even dream of. So, and it's extremely easy to use. And like I said, like every CRM, it gets you organized. It gets your customers organized into a database, and it lets you develop, capture your leads and develop them into customers. It has a ton of tools in its toolbox. Some of the ones I like are, it has a pop-up box that you can easily add to your website to capture leads, slide inboxes, drop-down banners. It even has a chat bot that you can add to your website, and you can even make that an AI bot if you want. So there's a lot of different tools that it has that everyone could really use. The other thing I really like about it is that it's a source of knowledge. So if anyone hears what we're talking about today and wants more information on any of these things, social media, email marketing, whatever it might be, you can actually go to HubSpot to their university and get certified in any of these things. I'm actually certified in social media. I'm HubSpot CRM certified, and it's an actual certification. So you can go there and you could learn a lot and really learn how to use not just HubSpot but any CRM. So I like it a lot. They make it very easy to bill and pay for all these different tools all in one spot. You could buy add-ons, and they're really robust in their integrations. They can integrate across tons of different CMSs, that's content management systems, and website platforms. So overall, I think my vote would be for HubSpot.
All right. Moving on to Infusionsoft.
Sometimes referred to as Confusionsoft, because it's a behemoth as well, similar to Salesforce. Definitely for the bigger campaigns, I would say. You definitely want to have a lot of people interacting with your content, a lot of new name captures, because you're going to be constantly flowing through different email marketing campaigns. Keeping track of your client list from where when they come in to when they go out. What interactions are they taking? How are they interacting with the emails or the other things that you're sending them to? And what's their story, right? So that way you can really kind of highly customize your campaigns to specific tags, right? So if you have, like Ted was saying earlier, you can say, oh, this person's favorite color is red. So everybody whose favorite color is red, I want to have this border or this color scheme going out to them. So then everybody who likes red is in my one little campaign, and everybody who likes blue is in my other campaign, and everybody who likes purple is in this third campaign, right? So it keeps everything kind of segmented, but it's very, very tricky It's very, very tedious. You definitely want to have somebody who's tasked to it full time or most of the time, because it is one of those things where if you just get it, it's not going to be enough. You really have to have a dedicated amount of time, and then also a dedicated effort towards it, and what you're trying to achieve with it, right? With all of these applications and all this software, it's great to have these issues solved, but when it comes to actually making sure that you're good going forward, and it's not just like, okay, now we're good and now we can forget about it, and then you repeat the same mistakes or you run into the same problems. You need to make sure that you have somebody in place, either that's with your organization or who is maintaining and operating and managing all of this stuff, and that's why it's so hard to be a business owner, because you're wearing 10 million different hats, and if you don't have the people around you to help out, it can be make you feel like your head's spinning. So it's really important to not only know what's available, but how to use it to your best advantage, because just because you have something, you have a tool, if you don't know how to use it, you're almost in a worse position than if you didn't have it at all.
Right.
So,
and to sum it up, CRMs are a vital component of
Yes.
your marketing efforts. Not only to stay organized, but to be successful, because these platforms help take what you're doing to the next level. They give you, they give you an insight into the technical and analytical side of things you may not have been able to access, organize, or utilize before. All right, so moving on to different music platforms. So for ED and EDS, we use Soundstripe, but Andrew's going to talk about a couple different options that you have and what we use for music licensing.
Right. So I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet because we don't have all too much time, but it's very straightforward. Music licensing, if you want a specific song from a specific artist, is a very, very complicated procedure. This isn't to say that you should avoid it, but if you are shooting a bunch of commercials, or you're shooting a bunch of different, TV, little social media spots, whatever you're doing, that doesn't require a specific song. It's not part of your storyboard. It's not part of anything else. It's a good idea to have something like Soundstripe, Artlist. There's plenty out there. Those are the top two that I can think of. Artlist because they have amazing marketing, and because everybody's probably seen an Artlist ad at some point in their life. And Soundstripe because it integrates with Premiere Pro. It's very easy to use. You drag and drop. They give you licenses that you print. And then if a company asks you for them, then you have that license. The alternative to that is using music that you don't have licensing to, and then getting into very big trouble. That's not a fun time. Don't do it. It's not worth it. And they're like $10 a month.
Yeah,
I think Soundstripe's a little bit more, but Artlist I want to say is like $10 a month. They also have sound effects, which are amazing. The Soundstripes definitely has some awesome ones. You just throw them right in for camera transitions, for anything you're doing. Again, invaluable stuff. Definitely recommend that.
And the music you hear at the beginning of the podcast is from Soundstripe, right?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
we utilize it for all of our marketing efforts too, not just for any licensing needs that clients may have. All right, moving on to editing softwares.
So for editing, we use the Adobe Suite. We use this for everything from our graphic design to our video editing, audio. I mean, anything I could possibly imagine. From Acrobat to editing like PDFs, like everything is Adobe Suite. We have the subscriptions that give us access to the full suite, and they give us, storage through Adobe. I think we have 100 gigabytes per account. It's very useful. It's very great to be able to share things. Adobe Bridge is fantastic to go between softwares. Again, we could talk about Adobe forever. The only thing that I'll say is that there's just so much that you can do, within Adobe, within these, softwares. They're used on, the greatest movies, the most amazing film sets. And I have a funny little story. I've had a few people apply, actually, for, positions at EDE, and they'll have the cute little graphs where it kind of is like, oh, my proficiency in Adobe Premiere, and they're like 99% proficient. And then it's like, oh, my proficiency in Adobe like Audition, like, oh, 95% of, no, you're not. You're not 95% proficient in any of them. The director of design for, for art, for Marvel, might be 95% proficient, and it might be 90. There's just so much you can do, and there's so many different ways to get the same exact result. For one thing, there's absolutely no point in being 99% proficient in Adobe Premiere. Like, you're going to memorize every single way to get to the exact same place. That's like memorizing, every possible way to get from your house to your office,
right,
in your entire state. Like, that just wouldn't make any sense. Just go there however you want to go there. And the other side of it is, again, these things can do so much. And they're used everywhere. They're universal. We really like them. People, I've never had an editor tell me that they don't know what Adobe Premiere is. I've never had to teach anybody Adobe Premiere. And any other company you go to, I mean, there's other software, but realistically, all of the Adobe stuff is going to be the standard.
I know, Ted, you have some, a lot of experience when it comes to the Adobe suite, too.
Yeah, I actually started my career as a video producer using Final Cut. And about a year and a half into that, Final Cut upgraded to Final Cut X or 10, depending on how you want to say it. And everyone freaked out because it was a totally new platform than Final Cut 7. So as a result, me and quite a number of my colleagues switched over to Premiere. And we've been there ever since. It's been 10 years in the game now using Premiere. And it integrates so well with the rest of the Adobe suite, with Photoshop, with After Effects, with Media Encoder. It does everything. So yeah, I agree with Andrew. I mean, it's really, it's a really, really good set of tools, set of programs.
Did you learn something about Adobe, Billy? All right, moving on to product delivery.
So product delivery, again, once you create your content, a lot of our content is digital, you need to get it to your client somehow. So a big one for us is Google Drive. That's very straightforward. If you've got a smaller project, if you've got a spot, if it's going to go on Instagram, if it needs to, get over there quickly, if you want to showcase something, hey, these are the revisions that I made, what do you think? How does this look? Do you like the music? Do you like, whatever? Again, Google Drive is a fantastic platform for that. The only problem is that it does render your content. So if I upload a very high quality video or a very high quality audio, there is a chance that it's going to get compressed and I'm going to lose some of that quality. So for example, if I'm working with an editor, going back and forth and sending files through Google Drive would very quickly result in a broken file that is virtually unusable just through how many times it's been compressed. So the next thing is Dropbox. Dropbox is a lot kinder to your files than Google Drive is. It still does compress them, but I want to say it's lossless. I'm not 110% sure. I don't know all of their compression algorithms. But it was, I know that when Dropbox was very popular, 5 years ago when I was working with it, they did advertise that they had a very good compression. So again, that's something that we would use with clients oftentimes. What do you want to say something, Matt?
I was going to say, you haven't memorized all the compression
Yeah, no,
algorithms?
I have not actually.
Come on, get on the ball here.
But Dropbox does a great job. Again, it's a little bit more, complicated to use, if you will. I think Google Drive's super friendly. I mean, I can send you a link to it, and you can open it on your phone from your text messages. I mean, Dropbox is not quite at that level of integration yet. But it's a fantastic piece of software, and we use it all the time to get files across. MediaZilla is another one.
Yeah, so we just actually got introduced to that a couple weeks ago, and that's something we're going to start to utilize heavy. I've learned that's like the big boy of the product delivery world. Kind of like Infusionsoft is the behemoth of CRMs. MediaZilla kind of fills this spot. And along with Vimeo, that's another platform that we utilize to showcase our videos and the quality there, whatever the technical term is for how it renders, the quality comes out really good there. So those are two other product delivery / preview softwares that we utilize. All right, so moving on to the world of marketing tools and softwares, Mr. Ted's going to tell us a little bit about MailChimp.
Yeah, MailChimp is great for new businesses, new startups, small businesses, because it's user-friendly, it's easy to use, and it's cheap. So they do have a free version. I believe it's up to 500 email sends per month, which is decent, depending on the size of your company. Obviously, the goal is to send as many to as many customers as you can. But MailChimp makes it very easy to navigate. You don't need to know any special code or any special development language to be able to create these HTML emails. And it makes it it lets you do it in a very simple drag and drop way. They have great analytics. And their pricing structure is fair. Like I said, they have the free version, but you quickly, after 500 sends, which you should hit pretty soon, you quickly have to start leveling up and paying for your account, which I believe starts at $9.99 a month for 1,000 and $14.99 for 2,000. So it's really not that bad. And it's one of the ones that I set all our new clients up on because it's just so easy for them to use.
Yeah, that's one of the first plugins, actually. Andrew could speak for that, too, in the web department that we download other than things like Elementor.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely love MailChimp. Fantastic.
Moving on to Hootsuite.
So Hootsuite is a social media scheduling platform. You can also actually manage some of your ads through that and do some advertising angles through Hootsuite. It's really great for people getting started or with small teams. We're going to talk about another one in a little bit that is somewhat similar. But Hootsuite's great for starting out. I tell everybody, if you have an idea of what you want to be posting in the future, or if you want to just make sure you're hitting every holiday, because that's a big thing that no matter what business you are in, you're going to be wishing everybody happy holidays at any point of the year that there's a holiday, and you want to make sure you're posting something, because if you leave people out, it reflects badly on you. So, being able to have that bulk schedule and just throw it up and say, okay, boom, I'm done for my holidays. Now I can just worry about putting the content that's compelling and that I want to, have timely, right? Put it up, film it today, turn it around, put it up tomorrow or whatever it is, or do a live stream or whatever, right? It gives you that freedom, but at the same time knowing that if you didn't do anything today, well, I still have my post going up, so.
Moving on to Sprout Social, which kind of goes hand in hand with Hootsuite.
Yeah. So Sprout Social is very, very similar to Hootsuite. I actually prefer it to Hootsuite because it gives you a content sourcing widget, which is where you'll type in what type of business you have, and it'll generate articles from all different sorts of news sites and whatnot that you can post that are in your industry, whether you're talking about food, finance, or furniture. So it's really great. I like it a lot. I think it's a phenomenal platform. I don't think that it lets you do the ads from it, but I think that allows it to apply more processing power to doing what it does, and I think what it does, it does best. So Sprout Social is definitely, in my opinion, the way to go when it comes to making sure that you have really compelling quality content that's going out. And it also gives you the ability to schedule it at the peak times of the day. So, what we said earlier about, hey, it's not just, that you're posting it every day. It's when are you posting it every day? And they kind of take the science out of it, so that they'll just say, hey, these are the peak times a day on these days, and we're going to schedule it and put it out there, for you at the best time. So,
absolutely. And moving on to the world of preparing content, more specifically graphic design. So obviously, some businesses maybe cannot afford to have professional services come in and prepare all their content at a professional level for them. And there are tools like Canva out there to assist with that, which I know Ted's going to dive into a little.
Yeah, sure. So Andrew went into a little bit about Adobe Suite, which is really, I think we can all agree, a bit of a learning curve for people who want to do graphic design and video production. Not to mention, it's also a cost. So what Canva has done is they've made a web interface version of a lot of the same tools and things a lot of creative things you can do that are similar to Photoshop. So, like Matt said, if you can't afford to hire a professional to do these things for you, Canva makes it very easy for you to do yourself. A lot of social media managers I know use Canva because you don't really have the large learning curve that the Adobe Creative Suite has. So you can go onto Canva's website and you can manipulate images, add text on them, put filters on them, and really quickly and easily create content that is digestible for social media.
And Canva's pretty affordable too, I believe, and of course very user friendly. As Ted stated, it doesn't require as much of a learning curve as something like Adobe Photoshop or Premiere Pro would. All right, moving on to all the products Google has to offer. So Google offers a ton of different tools and softwares to assist you with your business. Some examples would be Google Ads, formerly Google AdWords, Analytics, Google Calendar, Google Business, which we utilize on a daily basis. And Mr. Billy's going to kind of dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of, if you don't know, now you know, right? I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't know what Google is, or but they might be shocked at, all the different capabilities that Google has and they bring to the table for you. You don't even need a website to get online because Google will do a free website for you for your business page, so that way you can create a My Google business page. So even if you say, hey, I don't have $1 to my name, but I got this business, I'm trying to bounce back after this whole crazy situation that we just got through, you're able to do it. You don't need to wait until ducks are in a row in order for you to start, because the hardest part is just getting started. and then from there, then you can kind of, take advantage of the momentum that you build up. But, when you're analyzing, okay, who's coming to my site? What actions are they taking? How can I make this more compelling? Analytics really provides you with that pathway, because they'll go through and they'll say, okay, these are all the ads you're running. These ads are, making people click in X, Y, and Z direction, and that's causing this, and this is how many abandoned carts you have, and on and on and on. I mean, you could spend, your whole life in Google Analytics doing nothing else, and you would have, more work than you could finish, because there's so much out there, And like we say, that's why it's important to have specialists, because, you could do this on your own. It's something that, to an extent, you could do it, right? But if you really want to grow and you really want to succeed, putting the tasks and the projects in the capable hands of people who are equipped with the tools and the knowledge on how to best service them is going to do you better every time of the day. It's like that story with the, when you have a leak or something in your sink, and then you try to fix it yourself and you make it even worse, and then the plumber comes and he has to charge you double because you messed up and you made it worse, right? We see that all the time with websites, or people going in and trying to do X, Y, and Z, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're going in there and they're putting in code or something, and and then our guys go through and they find they find that little one kernel that was a needle in the haystack that was making everything go awry. So there are these tools out there. They're great. Definitely have fun, go crazy with them, but make sure that you're not putting yourself at risk, because sometimes doing something on your own can create a bigger problem than if you just let somebody else handle it.
And there's dozens of other products that Google offers that we didn't even mention. We just wanted to cover a few of the most that we are, exposed to on a daily basis. But most of Google products are free and pretty user-friendly. Obviously, like Billy said, having the experience and knowledge to really be successful at utilizing these products to your advantage is important. But Google has a lot to offer. And we already named a few. All right, so moving on to covering content management systems, CMS, for short. Andrew's going to kind of dive into what content management systems we use, because this is extremely important when it comes to having a digital presence, that's secure.
Right. So when we talk about content management systems, we're talking about, the website, the web development side of things. I know we're going to have, a more separate, more in-depth discussion about this, but I quickly want to mention that we like WordPress a lot. We use WordPress ourselves for pretty much every single website that we make. Again, if there is something that's very complicated that requires, its own system, its own code, its own everything, that's something that we would do. But you keep costs down, use WordPress. It integrates very well with plugins that other people have made. It's supported, it's used. I think it's the most popular content manager by like a long shot. I mean, it's a lot. I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, and I don't want to be wrong. But it's huge. It's definitely always up to date. It's always well supported. It's a great system. Again, we're going to talk more in depth about that, so I guess we'll just move on to the next one.
And Ted, I know you'll probably have some stuff to add about WordPress and its glory.
I love WordPress. I could get into it, but that would be another hour on this podcast.
And even myself, to give an example, I have never built or had never built a website before, but I've been assisted, especially in the early stages of the business, in creating websites or just some web content on different pages, utilizing the WordPress dashboard. So I even know my way to navigate around it. And to me, I mean, if I can navigate around it and I don't have that experience, then I think pretty much anyone can, and that's why we also utilize that, because we want our clients to be able to know what's going on too. All right, so moving on to Neil Patel.
So Neil Patel is big in the SEO world, digital marketing, that kind of thing. One of the tools from him that I really like to use is a free tool. So anybody listening could go on and use this tool to analyze your website and see what your SEO score is. Your speed test, your SSL certificate. It tells you everything that's going well and going wrong with your site. So that way you can find out where the issues are and fix them. So it's a really great tool. He also got another thing called Uber Suggest, which suggests keywords that go along with your site, or you can analyze and poke around and see what your competitors are doing and say, hey, why are they so much more successful than me? What are they doing differently? And you can actually go on and find out what they're doing differently and then mimic them. Well, obviously, it's better for everybody if you're innovating and leading, but you know what? in today's world, sometimes you see somebody's got a good thing and you want to get it too. Well, you gotta walk the walk too. So
Absolutely. All right, so moving on to a bunch of different tools and softwares we've compiled into a miscellaneous category. First off would be SoundCloud, which Andrew will kind of dive into how we utilize that for the podcast specifically.
So we use SoundCloud for the podcast, like Matt had just mentioned, and what we do is we take our audio file once we're finished with our podcast, and we upload it to SoundCloud, and then through SoundCloud, through one system, we're able to then blast that podcast to Spotify, iTunes, anything
Pandora,
else that
Apple,
we could...
yeah.
Right, exactly. Anything we could possibly imagine. I mean, there's more that in that list than I could ever even memorize. But it's a fantastic piece of equipment for that. And anybody else who's into audio, if your business is geared around audio, if you're a DJ, if you're a producer, if you're a podcast studio, SoundCloud is definitely a good opportunity for one thing to grow. For another thing, I love my compression algorithms. Very lossless compression algorithm. You get very high quality.
Did you memorize all those?
Yes, absolutely. You get very high quality sound on SoundCloud. It is very good. So absolutely, that's how we use it. I mean, the possibilities with it are endless, but originally when it came out, people kind of wrote it off as like, oh, SoundCloud rapper, it's just these kids uploading like crappy files to the internet. It's turned into a lot more than that, and I think anybody who works with audio professionally in some way, shape, or form utilizes SoundCloud.
And it's pretty affordable too. I think for us it's like $10 or $15 a month just to have the podcast on there. All right, to finish up our discussion today, we have a software that falls under the sales/networking category, and that is called Meetup.
Yeah, so Meetup is one of those networking sites where you can kind of go on to meet like-minded people who are interested in similar activities or in the same industry or have the same hobbies. So if you want to go fishing or dancing or go to put on a fundraiser to combat cancer or something like that, you can probably find it on Meetup. If you want to find people who are, doing networking events, or I guess right now there's not a lot of people getting together in rooms anymore. So, those happy hour Zoom calls or Skype calls or go to meetings or whatever whatever platform you prefer. A lot of that stuff's virtual now, and definitely you need to innovate, especially salespeople out there, because it's going to be tough, right? Especially with this lockdown dragging on. No matter where you are, you want to make sure that you're turning virtual because we live in a virtual world. So even before the lockdown and the virus and everything like that, everybody should have already been starting to think about, hey, how can I go virtual? How can I get on this free real estate that's online? When people open up a new location, they go on and they say, okay, well, it's going to cost X number of dollars, but you go online, it's free, so why not? And if you have these other sites like Meetup that's free that you can sign up for, and then you go to meet up with these great people that want to accomplish the same things as you, well, that's hard to find people who just, are interested in the same things, first of all. But to get them all in the same room together, well, that's phenomenal, So definitely I would suggest it to not only the business owners, but the professionals out there as well. Because we all have hobbies, we all have things that make us feel more fulfilled than maybe what we do for a living. I think some of us are lucky that we work here because we get fulfilled in our everyday work. But if you're looking for somebody that's like your tribe or whatever, definitely check out Meetup. There's a lot of other sites out there that promise similar things, but Meetup is actual real people. You're not going to run into people trying to get you into their MLM or something like that, So it's a great. I can't say enough good things about it if you couldn't tell. So.
All right, and moving on, I know we're running short on time here. I'm actually going to ask Billy and Ted the same question just to kind of keep things short and sweet. So starting with Ted. Ted, what's your favorite tool or software that we discussed today?
I really like the Google Drive suite, the whole Google Business App suite. However, I think Monday is starting to compete with that a little bit more. I think Andrew went into that a little bit when he was talking about Monday, but I've always been a fan of Google Drive and Google's app suite. But Monday is probably my favorite tool that we discussed here. Obviously, WordPress is something I work in every day. We didn't really get to go into too much detail what WordPress is and how it works, but that's definitely something I use on a daily, almost hourly basis. And then, I'm surprised that you guys brought up SoundCloud. I thought that was kind of out of left field, but yeah, I think it's a great place to host your audio for your podcast. I didn't even realize that it could disseminate them to the other podcast channels. So I learned something today as well. So I'm going to have to check that out.
Yes, through the RSS feed, which I recently learned what that was. All right, so same question from Billy. Billy, what's your favorite couple of tools or softwares we discussed today?
Well, obviously, Google's number one. Google's king. If you're not on Google, get on Google. But once you're on Google and you have your website and everything, go to Neil Patel and do the SEO analyzer. And then find out how bad you are, and then get better.
And then give us a call.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right, so moving on to, I know we have a couple stories / lessons of the week to tell here. We'll save Ted's for last because best for last. Actually, I'll skip over mine and Andrew. Billy, you go. That way we can kind of have good time management here.
Okay, so my story, I'm sure everybody's kind of heard the story, but this goes, there's this guy, there's a big flood in his town, and the people are coming and they're saying, oh, you get in our car and we can drive you to safety during the evacuation. And he says, oh no, I'm okay, God will save me. And then the flood's coming, and then there's somebody comes by in a motorboat, and they come over to him, and he's over sitting on his house, and the person says, oh, get in the boat, we'll bring you to shore, we're coming and getting the people that are stuck here. And he says, oh no, it's okay, God will save me. And then then eventually he's at the very hanging onto his chimney, and a helicopter comes along, and they're waving him down, and they're saying, come on, get on, and he says, oh no, it's okay, God will save me. And then ultimately he bites the dust, and he meets his maker, and he looks to God, and he's like, well, what the heck happened? I thought I told everybody you were gonna say. And God turns to him, he says, well, I sent a car, a boat, and a helicopter. What more do you want me to do? And it's a kind of a similar story with business owners where they say, oh my gosh, I really want to get customers. Oh man, I wish my lunch hour were busier. Oh man, I have these great products, but they're just not selling. Why? What are you doing? What's stopping you?
Right.
Do you have people coming to you every day and calling you up every day saying, hey, I'd like to sit down with you and talk to you about your strategy. Hey, I'd like to sit down with you and talk to you about how you're doing your branding. Hey, I'd like to sit down with you and talk to you about how you're doing your marketing or your photo and your video or your this and your that or blah, 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 blah. But we get so locked into this idea of, oh, if you're coming to help me, you must want something from me.
Right.
Or, oh, if you're coming to help me, I'm not interested because I've heard it all before, But we haven't, because we think, oh, well, we're going to find the person and when it feels right. Well, sometimes the a-holes are the ones that do the best job,
Not that we're the a-holes.
Not that we're the a-holes. I'm not saying that we
No.
are, but I'm just saying, people need to be more open-minded and open ears, because
Right.
if you want to succeed, you can't look at things as a competition. You can
Right.
only look at things as a potential for cooperation, right? Because then that opens up a whole universe to you, and you're not fighting against people, you're fighting with them.
Right. That was a pretty good story. I mean, I could tell he's been wanting to tell that story for a couple days now. He's had that plan. All right, anyways, we've got a pretty interesting story up next regarding Mr. Ted. Ted, if you want to give a little bit of background to it and kind of dive in.
Sure, yeah. So I bought a house in January of this year, and shortly after I moved in, it's on a lake, and shortly after I moved in, I started meeting my neighbors who were ducks. I had a lot of ducks for neighbors. So they'd come in and they'd waddle into my yard and they'd waddle out and I'd feed them bread and whatnot. And we became good friends, I guess you could say. So one day this duck walks into my yard and I had to do a double take because I saw speared through his neck was a lawn dart. It was about 8 inches long and probably about a half an inch wide, and it was skewed right through this duck's neck. And yet he was waddling around and he was quacking and he was begging for food and living his life just as he would. And I thought, oh my God, this little duck's going to die. He's in danger. Someone shot him and left him to die. Why would they do that? I got to do something about this. I got to bring him to the vet. What am I going to do? So I called the a bird rescue sanctuary, and they came out, and the sheriff came out, and they started tracking this duck and try to get him. And soon enough, the local news agency came out, and they wanted to talk to me. They wanted to get me on camera to do their feel-good story about this duck. Well, about a week later, they found the duck, and they brought it to a vet, and they had the lawn dart surgically removed, and the duck survived, and they let it loose. They let it back out into the wild. So of course, a happy ending to the story. The news agents, the local news people came back out and they got me on camera and they took my interview and they posted it on their Facebook and their social media and they broadcasted it. And I get this call and my mom saw me on the news. And she said, Ted, I had to take a screenshot of your title they put under your name. And I said, what do you mean? What is this? What do you mean? What title? She said, it says Ted Esposito, Spotted Duck. So yes, I did spot a duck. Yes, I spotted the duck in the story, but the dang news journalists put Spotted Duck as my title. So... And of course, I have a really, like the guys have already said, I have a really, really long, recognizable beard, and some might liken that to the guys on Duck Dynasty. So it was pretty fitting for me to be on this news story with Spotted Duck as my title.
I'm surprised Duck Dynasty hasn't given you a call yet. My family used to say when I had the beard, they'd be giving me a call shortly. So more of the story is ducks and marketing. No, I'm just kidding. That's nothing to do with it. But internally, yes, now we called Ted the duck spotter. Obviously, we don't support animal cruelty or everything. That was completely wrong. But Ted's colleagues also created this image of him, which we're going to put on the screen. That now, whenever we think of Ted, we think of this image, which we'll pop up on the screen right here, and maybe include a little bit of his interview spot. But anyways, we thought that story would be a great way to end the episode. Billy and Ted, thanks for coming on. We're definitely going to have you guys on again, and we hope you guys enjoyed, being on your first episode of EDP. For everyone else out there, stay tuned for next week's episode, which is going to be titled Let's Talk Sales, which Billy will be back on that episode, along with Mr. Joe Basile, who is one of our business development specialists over at EDE and EDS. So we're going to dive into everything sales, talk about our approach, our process, everything. Oh, mic fail. Everything from A to Z over here. You're paying for that. No, just kidding. Also, if you haven't checked out our social media profiles, feel free to do so. We're on Facebook at Everyday Podcast FB and Instagram at Everyday Podcast IG. Also, feel free to shoot us an email with any comments, questions, or concerns at info@everydaypodcast.biz. That's B-I-Z at the end. And feel free to check out our website, which again, as stated before, has all that functionality that we've added to it. You can download the video and the audio versions of all the different episodes. And the link to the website is everydaypodcast.biz. That's B-I-Z at the end. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.